All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Okay, guys, Bitcoin is seeing that dump down that we were expecting potentially in the impulse down, and we have hit our targets of the wave 5 of the impulse. And a couple days ago, I gave you guys this resistance on Tuesday. If we were going to reject making a lower high in a wave 4, this purple box was the area to look for the short position to take down in a wave 5 to come grab our lows of our range at 100.7. Yesterday, I described this in detail in the video as well, and it does look like our 5-wave impulse to the downside is playing out. We have this clear 5-wave impulse to the downside. We bounced from our point of control of the range. We did pull this range. First, we were looking at it as two ranges, this range and then an upper range. But once we started dumping back inside of it, we pulled it to one range, and we were looking for a move down past the value area low to grab the liquidity potentially into our pitchfork band, which we didn't quite hit yet, but we did see a successful swing failure pattern of the low, and I did long this. I did tell you guys I was looking for a long here, and I also TP'd the short here as well. And I am looking for now a potential bigger move up, a multi-day move up that could last a week or so, where we could push up to our golden pocket lower high. So first, let me zoom out onto the daily chart and let's explain what we're seeing overall on the macro time frame, because this is very, very important. Let's turn off a few things here. Let me just turn off this resistance. And let's look at, from 74K, we saw this big impulse to the upside here. And we were looking at a potential failed auction of the all-time high and of the value area high of the range, where we see a bit of a failed breakout. And I have been saying a lot last week and a lot throughout this week that if we break back inside that value area, let me turn off this small range so you guys can get a clearer look. If we break back inside the more macro value area, which is the fair value for Bitcoin for all of 2025, and start to close daily candles back within that value area, we could see that bigger dump come in potentially down to 97K or even lower down to 88K. And we were looking for, after your big impulse finishes, you're looking for a bigger 3-wave corrective move, possibly down to 88K. And we were looking in your A wave, you're looking for a 5-wave impulse down. So we have been studying a couple different scenarios, and one of them was this 5-wave impulse ending the first A wave of the bigger ABC at the lows of our range, grabbing our liquidity right around 100.7 and seeing a confirmed swing failure pattern into our pitchfork band, and then seeing a move up over the next few days here. We are going into the weekend, and we can expect a range or a slow corrective move to the upside. And the target that I'm so now, let me zoom out to the 3-day chart, and I just want to get you guys a better look at what's happening overall, because this is very concerning if you're a Bitcoin bull. We failed a breakout of the all-time high and of the value area high of the range. We broke back within the range. We bearishly backtested that range on Tuesday. We rejected, and today we are getting a nice volume bearish engulfing candle to the downside, telling me that the market is in some ways reconfirming re-entry back within our volume profile. And if we come to the top of the volume profile and we reject, we can expect to see a rotation down to at least the fair value of Bitcoin for 2025, or maybe even the undervalued area at 88K. So overall, now I am expecting a move down to 97K, not straight down there. I expect to push up over the next week in our B wave before seeing a C wave down to 97 or even 88K. So but reconfirming entry back within the volume profile and seeing this bearish candle today, bearish engulfing candle after a bearish backtest to the value area high, is a very concerning move if you're a bear, and if you're a bull and you want to break out to all-time highs right now. I don't think it's the highest probability right now. So let's zoom in to the 2-hour chart, and we can look at this impulse that we were seeing down, and it does look like a pretty clear 5-wave impulse with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we were looking at, on Tuesday, a rejection from our purple box. And why, if you go back and watch Tuesday's video, why was I expecting actually go back and watch Monday's video because I talked about it on Monday and it happened on Tuesday. But if we take our Fibonacci from the lows of wave 3 to the highs of wave 4, from the highs of wave 3 to the lows of wave 3, and we look at our wave 4 targets, we do have that target between the 0.382 and the 0.5. Well, our macro value area high is also right in that area at 1065. And then it was also a very important support resistance flip. You can see resistance, resistance, support, 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 support. And now that we lost it as support, we can backtest it as a resistance, which we did. And that would have been the area to look for the rejection, not only because it was our wave 4 target for a corrective move up before seeing one last push down in a wave 5, but it was also our support resistance flip and the bearish backtest of our macro value area high, which we have not backtested since re-entering back within the volume profile. And now we have done that, and now we have confirmed the rejection and made new lows. Okay, so we rejected from our 4th wave targets. We rejected from the value area high. Now we are expecting a 5th wave down. So where was that 5th wave expected to end? I covered this in yesterday's video ahead of time. And so this should have been on your radar here, but we were looking, if we take a Fibonacci from the lows of wave 3 or the beginning of wave 4 to the end of wave 4, and we look at our wave 5 targets, then the target is between the 1.236 and the 1.618. And we were talking specifically about that 1.618 and seeing a little bit of a wick past the 1.618 to grab liquidity into the pitchfork band, or just to see a swing failure pattern. And we did drop straight down to that level. We got the confirmed swing failure pattern, and so far we are above it, and I am long from around that area, because as soon as we wick past it and then reclaimed it, that's a long opportunity. And so I did a long, I actually longed right up about in here. My stop is below the low, and I am looking to take this long up to take full TPs. If we look at that smaller upper range, this range that we've been trading in for about 3 weeks now, this upper profile. And if we turn that upper profile on, you can see that our value area high, which is the, overvalued part of Bitcoin over the last 3 weeks, if we look for confluence in this area, we pull a golden pocket from the highs of our impulse to the lows of our impulse, and we turn on our golden pocket, you can see that our golden pocket is going to be coming in right at that value area high. Now, also, what else is going to be coming in around that value area high? Let me hide this box now that I've shown you guys the rejection from that box. Now that we are back within this volume profile, or we're not back within it yet, the first step is to reclaim 1025, 1024. If we don't, I'll cover that in just a second. But let me go ahead and get rid of these wave 5 targets now. We bounce here, and so if this is the end of a 5-wave impulse in a wave A, in a bigger ABC correction, we're going to be expecting over the next week or so a 3-wave corrective move up to our golden pocket area, which we have confluence with our value area high and confluence with our pitchfork midline that was acting as support, support, support. It was support in here for a bit, and then we lost it, and it turned to resistance through all of this. So now it's going to be acting as a resistance again. So I am looking for my final TP of this long trade to be at around 107.9, right around between 107.5 and 107.9. Now I will take some profit before then, and let me cover that right now, because we have confirmed the swing failure pattern, but if you look at this same range, we are below the value area low of this range. And if we are going to keep dumping, because there is a possibility that this is actually a double 1-2 impulse, a 1-2, 1-2, and we're about to just nuke in the 3rd wave down to 97K, 96.5. So if this is going to be a 3rd wave nuke after a double 1-2 impulse, which is still a valid possibility on the charts, then I expect, because we SFP'd locally, and we are changing some market structure locally, very small time frame market structure bullishly, like 3 minute, 1 minute, the value area low of our range is coming in right at 102.4, 102.360, 102.4. And so if this 3rd wave is going to continue, if this is a double 1-2 and the 3rd wave is going to continue to dump us to 97K, then I would expect a move up to this value area low and a rejection from this area, where then we would dump. If we go zoom out onto the hourly chart, you can see we have a bit of a fair value gap in this area as well, right in here, a fair value gap in this area. And so if we do make it up to that 1024 and we reject, I will take 50% profit out on my long position, and then I'll let the rest get stopped out, and that'll at least give me a small win rather than a loss. So that is what I'm going to be watching for over the next hour to 5 hours, 6 hours or so. And so far, if we look on Market Cipher B, let's zoom out to the 4-hour chart. Money flow looks pretty bearish here. And also NAMI, money flow looks pretty bearish, crossing over into the red on NAMI, Market Cipher B, bearish money flow. We're also looking like we are about to invalidate our potential bull divs on the 4-hour time frame. Potentially they're already invalidated. And if we zoom in onto the 2-hour time frame, money flow looks pretty bad. No bull divs on the chart. No bull divs on the chart. We even printed a hidden bear div this morning on that wick high this morning. Very bearish signs so far we are seeing on the chart. This is not giving me confidence that this SFP is going to play out up to 1079. I'm going to leave it open just in case it does, but I'm really looking to take some profit at 1024 based off of the lack of confirmations we are seeing on the trade. The only reason I entered this trade here is because we pierced the level, wick past the level, and the second we reclaim the level, that's a long entry with your stop below that low, just as this tool is indicating here. Let's grab that tool, and this is what I did here. So now TP1, if we start to look like we're rejecting from 1024, I will take profit there. But if we zoom in onto the 1-hour chart, 1-hour chart, no bull divs. Money flow looks pretty bearish here, coming out pretty aggressively on the 1-hour chart. No bull divs on NAMI here. On the 30-minute chart, no bull divs, money flow in the red here, and no bull divs on NAMI, money flow in the red here. Now, it does look like it's starting to curve up a little bit on NAMI and Market Cipher B. What we want to see, if you're a bull, we are not really seeing any confirmations of a bigger push up. No bull divs on the 15-minute. We even printing hidden bear divs right now locally on NAMI. This is telling me that we do have a high probability of rejecting 1024 and continuing to dump to the downside. If we look on the 6-minute chart, that is when we started to finally get some very micro time frame bull divs. You can see lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum waves, a bunch of green dots in here, and money flow is starting to curve up. But a real lack of confirmation on this SFP. The only reason I took the SFP long is because we wick past and reclaimed. But I do not have a lot of confidence in this long position because of our lack of bull divs on the chart. Now, here's our scenarios. We could come up to the value area low, reject the value area low, and continue this third wave impulse if it's a double 1-2 all the way down to 97K, 96.5. Or our bullish scenario is that the SFP is going to play out. We need to get back above our value area low, maybe even coming up to VWAP, probably see a small rejection from VWAP, and then bullishly backtest that value area low and hold it now as support. And then we could continue to work our way up to the golden pocket and the value area high of the range. That is what I'm going to be watching for on Bitcoin. Everything looks pretty bearish to me right now. We did grab liquidity below the lows, and we are seeing a bit of some fresh longs step in here at that swing failure pattern low. But the longs, if we look at the volume here, volume is going lower and lower as we're pushing up higher, meaning that this looks like a corrective move or a small move, maybe a scalp long before ultimately continuing the dump to the downside. So unfortunately, I don't like the way this looks on Bitcoin. There is a possibility that we could hold this low and continue, but the bigger scenario, the bigger macro scenario, we had the failed auction of the all-time high. We broke back within our volume profile, rejected the bearish backtest of our macro value area high. That's this big one. Let me turn off the small range so you're not confused here. Rejected the macro value area high, and now we're seeing a volume increase push to the downside. if we turn on our volume for today, look at that spike in volume on the push to the downside, telling me that Bitcoin is going to see the bigger dump to the downside starting to play out and continuing to play out. So this could all be your A wave down in a 5-wave impulse, or maybe it's not done yet. This could be a B wave up to your golden pocket and then a C wave down to 97K and the bottom of the pitchfork. You can see the point of control is in alignment with the bottom of the pitchfork. Also, if we go on to our Bybit chart, once again, guys, we tried to break within our upper band, lost the upper band, back tested the value area high, rejected the band on a bearish back test, and now same thing, back within our volume profile, rejection of the volume profile, coming down to take our lows. But look at where the point of control, this is the same volume profile, just on a different chart. Point of control is also at our macro channel, pitchfork midline. And this pitchfork is the far more important pitchfork. If we zoom out onto the daily chart, you can see that this pitchfork is where we rejected at the top 3 times, dropped to the midline, bearishly back tested the midline, rejected, dropped to the lower band, bounced from the lower band, came up to the upper band, and we're rejecting from the upper band. So unfortunately, Bitcoin, now that we're re-entering, like, look how clear this is. Tried to break out of all-time high, tried to backtest and hold it, the value area high as support. We rejected a lower high, re-entered back within, bearish backtest, new lows. Very, very bearish looking here. But if this is a double 1-2 impulse, a 1-2, 1-2, and we're about to see a 3, we could see our 3 dump us all the way to 97K and then continue in a 5-wave impulse in a much bigger A, B, C, all the way down to 88K, where you can see 88K would be a time-wise aligning with the bottom band of the pitchfork, which we bounced from last time. Value area low, bottom band. It's also our golden pocket pull. If we look, let me just go back on the Coinbase chart. If we do a golden pocket pull, I've shown you guys this in many videos, so this shouldn't be a surprise. From the lows of the impulse to the highs of the impulse, our golden pocket is coming in right at that value area low. 88, 89K to 87.5. Okay, that is about it for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, looking kind of bearish here on Bitcoin. Let's go to Ethereum. Ethereum yesterday. Now, first off, I've been talking about this golden pocket at the top of the pitchfork band. Let me zoom out to the 1-hour chart. And it was also our value area high of our range. We've been trading this range for about a month now on Ethereum. And we were looking for a fake out of the value area high into our golden pocket, where I did short this. It was the top of the band. It was the golden pocket. And if we were expecting a lower high to come in before making another lower low, then that was your area to short. So we got that rejection from our golden pocket. That golden pocket was just pulled from our last high, rejecting from our purple box, by the way, that I did call this out way ahead of time, about a month ahead of time. We had marked out this resistance on the chart. We dropped to the value area low, held the value area low, but we were expecting a potential lower high to come in before ultimately coming down and breaking at least our weekend lows. We were looking yesterday at these weekend lows at 2463. Well, you can see we got no reaction there, and we kept dumping, and we dumped down to a naked daily point of control that was down there. Let me get rid of this. And Ethereum is breaking the value area low of our range. Now, if same thing on Ethereum like with Bitcoin, we're breaking the value area low. So if we bounce here, we need to watch for a bearish backtest of this value area low. If we do reject at 2485, then we can expect to roll over and continue down to take our actual range lows at 2323. And down in this area, we have the SFP into our ABC target there. So that is the now kind of what Bitcoin just did. Bitcoin just SFP'd its range lows. Well, Ethereum's not quite there yet. But Ethereum being below the value area low of our month-long range is a bearish sign. And if we cannot reclaim it relatively quickly here, we can expect a move down to take the range lows. If the range lows don't hold, then we're coming down to this $2,000 area. $2,100 to $2,000. But Ethereum is seeing a bit of a big impulse down. You can see this push down we saw so far. If we turn on our volume, there is quite the big increase in volume on this push down. And Ethereum might not be done dumping yet. The anchored VWAP, which is this blue line that's on my chart right here. Let's zoom out onto the daily chart, and you can see this anchored VWAP overall has been pretty much holding as support. Anytime we come down here, we are seeing these nice wicks and buying pressure, buying up pressure. Well, if we close today's daily candle below the anchored VWAP, it will be our first daily close below what was holding as support on more macro timeframes. And that would mean we would expect to push at least down to take out our range lows, but maybe a push down to $2,000. So Ethereum's looking kind of bearish here. Now, if we're looking still at this as a double 1-2 impulse, a 1-2, 1-2, 3, there was some concerns because this was a 13-day range. This was also a 13-day range. And your wave 4s, you generally want to be as long as or longer than your wave 2s. Well, this first push down here was only a 4 or 5 day push down. And I did have some concern. I think I talked about it in yesterday's video about maybe it's not long enough and all of this is going to be a wave 4. And we could come down one more time to grab those lows and then see our 5 and then a 4 or 5 coming up to 3,100. So overall, I would say this double 1-2 impulse has not been invalidated and will not be invalidated until we hit our golden pocket here at 2136. If we do hit this golden pocket, then yes, we will invalidate the double 1-2 impulse. But if we take that same Fibonacci pull and turn on our wave 4 targets, you can see that yes, we've hit the 382. We hit it with this low on the 18th of May, but we have not come down to our 0.5 yet at around 2261. So if this is going to be a fourth wave, there is a possibility we could come down SFP our range lows into our 0.5 and then reclaim and see a 5 and then another 4 or 5 here to finish the double 1-2 impulse. So I'm not getting bearish on Ethereum until we lose 2261. Okay, that is it for Ethereum. Now let's go on to Solana. Guys, as far as Solana goes, if we're looking at the perfect impulse, textbook impulse to the downside, that, sorry, guys, I have a bunch of stuff on my chart because I was just streaming for the Discord. If we're looking at a textbook impulse to the downside, I have been talking about this impulse for about a week now on Solana, and we were looking at our highs. We saw a 1-2. Remember, we saw our third wave come right down to the 1.618. I showed you guys this in yesterday's video. And if we take a trend-based Fibonacci extinction and look at that, you will be able to see that we did come right down to that 1.618 and we bounced from the 1.618. Let me get rid of, hold on, I pulled that wrong because we did come down there. Oh, I got to turn it on log scale. That's right. Okay, so we came down to our 1.618. We bounced from our 1.618. Perfect. Saw that little inverse head and shoulders pattern here, or accumulation pattern. And then we saw a very clear 3-wave corrective move up to our 4th wave corrective targets. So based off of that, I was looking for one more push down into our green box of support, which was the macro point of control, a weekly level, anchored VWAP, and our 2 naked daily point of controls down here. But also, if we look at our wave 5 targets, you can see if you just pull a Fibonacci from the lows of 4 to the highs of 4, your wave 5 targets were between the 1.236 and the 1.618. Well, we came down and we hit into that area. Major support in this area here. And so our 5-wave impulse could be finished, and then we are going to be looking for a bigger corrective move in an a 3-wave zigzag correction, generally up to your golden pocket. Well, look at where our upper range is. The point of control of that upper range, the golden pocket is coming in right around the point of control. So if you longed 143 or 146, now my TP'd my short completely at 146. I'm out. I'm out of my short from much higher, and I also shorted up here or added to it. So I'm completely out of my short right now, and I have not entered long yet, and I'll tell you why. I'm thinking about entering soon, but we could expect a move up over the next week to 171 in a 3-wave corrective move, and then a lower high to come in before another impulse to the downside in a C wave, making a bigger A, B, C down. And so I am looking for a long from this general area. But if we zoom in on the charts, let's zoom in on the 30-minute chart. This Elliott structure has been very clear to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. 3-wave corrective move in a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. A 5-wave move in a 3. 3-wave corrective move in a 4. Well, in our 5th wave, we also want to see a 5-wave impulse down. 1, 2, 3. We have not made a 4, 5 yet. So one more low on the charts coming in could complete the impulse, and then we could see, but overall holding this general area. So I'm looking actually just for a SFP of the lows. Like you can see, I have it alert set on it just in case. And then I would look for the long to bring up to around 170. But we are at a more macro support level, and we could expect, at macro support levels to form a range, and that one more low would create that finishing of the 5th wave and a opportunity to push up on Solana. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking for on Solana. Now, of course, there's going to be TP levels before 170. If you did long on Solana, the first TP level we could look at, 2 hour, is the anchored VWAP. You can see the anchored VWAP was holding as support through most of this upper range, holding as support. And now that we've lost it to the downside, it's kind of acting as a resistance. So a liquidity grab of our wave 4 highs into our anchored VWAP around 165 could be a TP level for a TP1. Okay, and if we pull our same Fibonacci from the highs of the impulse to the lows of the impulse, and you look at that 0.5, the 0.5 is right on that anchored VWAP. So an SFP into the 0.5 would be a TP1 and then TP2 up here. Okay, that is it for Solana. Solana is respecting the TA so nicely. We are at support. I have not quite longed yet based off what I just described to you, but I'm looking for a long to bring up to around 170. Sui did finally drop to the bottom of our channel. I talked about this in yesterday's video. I am long from 292, I think it was, around 292 on Sui, and I do expect we could see a bigger bounce. Now, we did not really get a reaction from that naked weekly point of control or that 0.5, but we are at the bottom of a bigger descending channel, and we did see a pretty clear 5-wave move down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So even if we correct up to the channel midline and the value area low of our range that we now have, I would be looking for a full TP up here and then potential continuation to the downside. But Sui is at the bottom of the channel, and I do expect some sort of bounce from this area. The naked date, we do have that naked daily point of control at 331, but I'm going to be looking primarily in this purple box that I marked out yesterday. We have our larger 382. We have a monthly level, a value area low of our range, the channel midline, and the naked daily point of control between 344 and 350. Okay, that is it for Sui. XRP has now dropped once again to the value area low of our big range. This range goes back 6 months. It goes back to December. And a few last week, or at the beginning of the week, I guess that was Saturday, we dropped into our value area low. But remember, I talked about this in yesterday's video. We did not actually touch the value area low. We had barely front ran our value area low, but we did hit the monthly and the weekly. So I did long that weekly at 2077. But I was concerned yesterday that we could drop one more time to actually touch the value area low and to see a swing failure pattern of the weekend lows, which is, I literally described this in yesterday's video, and it's playing out. So we came down, we did drop down, we SFP'd our weekend lows and actually touched our value area low, and we are seeing a bounce now from that value area low. So it is a potential, still a potential swing long opportunity for XRP. If XRP can hold this macro value area low of our 6-month range, we could see a move up to this 240 to 245 area where we have our lower high golden pocket coming in. And actually, we need to repull this golden pocket. There we go. Our golden pocket is coming in, and it is also our point of control and our anchored VWAP from the all-time high, and we have a weekly level up there. It is also the top of our descending channel that we've been chopping in for months. So yes, nice liquidity grab on XRP. If XRP is going to continue down, just like I described yesterday, we do have that golden pocket below us at $2 to 197. It's also a naked weekly point of control and a daily level. That is it for XRP. And then let's lastly go on to Chainlink. Sorry, guys, I just streamed for 3.5 hours, so I'm just going quickly through some of these things. Chainlink finally came down, and I was talking about this yesterday in the video too. I expect to move down because we rejected our point of control and our anchored VWAP and our pitchfork band. I expected to move down to 12 to our golden pocket. The liquidity grab of our internal lows into our golden pocket. I described this exact move yesterday. We are getting this. Now, I shorted this exact area up here in a wave, in a corrective move, and I completely TP'd at 12.9. I wanted to front run that 0.65 a little bit. So out of that short position. But we are seeing a little bit of a reaction from our golden pocket and from our liquidity grab. We are not above these highs yet, though. And there is a potential we could keep dropping to our 786, which is also near the bottom of our pitchfork. Chainlink is seeing a move up. Now, money flow still looks bearish on almost all these coins that I just described. Money flow still looks bearish, and things are not looking good for Bitcoin or for the altcoins as far as money flow goes. It's leaving the asset. But we are at key supports on many coins, and we could see at least a corrective move up over the weekend to make lower highs on the charts before continuing the dump down next week. Chainlink, if we do bounce from this area, I would be expecting a move up at least to backtest that point of control again. If we do backtest that point of control and reject again, then I'm going to expect a move down to the bottom of the pitchfork in the 786, around $12 to 1170-ish, 1167, 1170. That is also the value area low of our macro range, between 12 and 11.7. And that is about it, guys. I mean, we saw these moves coming ahead of time potentially, and supports are holding. We are seeing nice reactions and nice trades available in the market right now. So if you got anything out of this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I try to put out a video every day, keeping you informed. We do have a couple sponsors of the channel. BYDFI, they are a KYC-less exchange and a VPN-less exchange. You don't need a KYC or a VPN to trade on here. All you need is an email and a password. They are offering up to $1,000 cash back on your initial deposit, or up to 15% cash back of your initial deposit, up to $1,000. And they're also offering up to $8,100 in futures bonus trading fees, depending on how much volume you move. And the next partner of the channel is MEXC. They're offering 10% cash back on your initial deposit, plus up to $20,000 in futures trading bonuses, depending on how much you trade. Both links are in the description. It's a way to help the channel. And then lastly, we do have NAMI. It's a great new indicator that I've been using to enter and exit trades for confirmation for trades. The link is in the description if you want to check out this indicator. I do have a 50% off code, Divine50. If you could use that at checkout to get 50% off, and that's only going to be running for a limited time. So thank you all for your support and for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow.